This lesson is adding and subtracting fractions. These are common fractions, and we're going to use board number 17 and the green fraction pieces. The green fraction pieces are plastic pieces that are numbered on both sides in the top left corner. On one side they have a grid that matches the board, and there's also a blank side so that students can see things a little more clearly than if they had to look at the grid and try to count the squares. Alright, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make one whole out of several fractions. So we're going to take piece number 13, which is a large piece, and it is equivalent to 1/2 of the entire board. If we just place that on there, we can see that it covers half the board, and it is a 6 by 12, which is 72 squares, and the entire board is 144. So we're going to flip this over so students can see that that's exactly half, and you can also show them that it is the equivalent of 1/2 because it fits on twice. The next piece we're going to use is the number 11, and that is the equivalent to 1/4. And so we have 1/2 plus 1/4, so that is now 3/4. We're going to take the number 6 piece, which is half of the number 11, and we're going to take the two number 1 pieces that are in the kit, and that is equivalent to number 6. So what we've done now is we've shown 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, and 2/16 for a total of 1 whole. And then what we can do is we can show students the relationship between each. We can show that 2/16 is 1/8, and then we can show again that 4/16 is 1/4, and we can show that 8/16 is equal to 1/2. And if they find it easier to show a contrast, you can just flip the tile over so that they can see the difference in the half and the half. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the fraction 7/8 by combining several smaller fraction pieces. So we're going to start off with this one, and it's 1/2. And you should know that there are other fractions that this is equivalent to, and one of them is 4/8. So this fraction is 1/2 and also 4/8. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the number 11, which is half that size, and we're going to place it on here. And then the last one is we're going to take the number 6 and place it here. So what we've done is we've taken 1/8, and we can show students by removing these two that this is 1/8 of the entire board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it fits on exactly 8 times. So we now know that this is double, so that must be 2/8. So we have 3/8 total. And if we take this one here, we have, this is 2/8, and that's plus 2/8 is 4/8. So in total, there are 7/8 of the board is covered, and 1/8 is remaining. So we've just taken 3 different fractions and added them together, and we've actually created common denominators by doing this. 1/8, 2/8, and 4/8 is 7/8. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1/2 plus 1/3. So we take our half piece, number 13 again, and place it on the board. And we're also going to take our 1/3 piece. And our 1/3 piece is the number 12. Now you can see that it is 4 squares tall and 12 squares wide. And if you show students, this fits on exactly 3 times. So it is 1/3 of the board. So we're going to take 1/2 and 1/3 and add them together. And we need to figure out what is that fraction. Well, the best way to do this is to find a common denominator. So I'm just going to move these over a little bit so you can see that each one of these is divided in rows and columns. So the number 13 piece is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rows out of 12 total on the board, so that's 6/12. We can also take the number 2 piece and show students that this fits on here exactly 6 times. And it would be better to show the grid side, and we can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6/12. We take this 1/3 piece, which we showed, and it's equivalent to 4/12. So therefore, we now have 4 plus 6 is 10/12. And if you use your fraction chart at the back of the lesson, you can reduce that to 5/6. Finally, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract, and we're going to take the 1/4 piece and we're going to subtract it from the 1/3 piece. So here is the 1/3 piece, and here is the 1/4 piece. And we can show students by, again, it's 3/12 because it's 3 rows by 12, and this one here is 4/12. It's 4 rows by 12. So it's really 4/12 minus 3/12, and you're left with 1/12. So if we subtract 1/4 minus 1/3, the remaining portion, which can be shown this way, is equivalent to 1/12. Finally, if we want to subtract 3/4 from 5/6, we'll use the same process, but instead we'll use different pieces. And this requires a lot more pieces, and we have to combine several pieces to make them. So we're going to take the half piece, which is the number 13, and we're also going to take the 1/3 piece, which is the number 12. And that is 5/6. It covers 10/12 of the board, which is equivalent to 5/6, and you can see that in the back of the lesson. Then we also need to combine 4 different pieces to make 3/4. So we're going to take the number 7 in your lesson, and you can see that that is equivalent to 1/6. It goes on the board 6 times because it's 2 rows. So there's the first one. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the 1/4 piece, which is the number 10 piece. It's 3 rows of 12. And then we're going to take the number 9 piece, which is an 8 by 4. And finally, we're going to take the number 5 piece, which is a 4 by 4. So you can show students that now what we've done is we've covered exactly 9 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's 3/4 of the board. So if we take our original fraction, which we had, 5/6, which is the dark green pieces underneath, and we subtract the top grid pieces on the top, we can see that 5/6 minus 3/4 is the equivalent of 1 row, which is 1/12. And you can also show students that that's the same as the number 2 piece. So this is how you use board number 17 to add and subtract common fractions.